We just spent 2.5 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and I think some progress has been made.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday said Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire and an end to their 3-year-old war after holding a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Hopefully we did something. We also spoke to the heads of most of the European nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up. What a shame that it ever started in the first place.
After the call with Trump, Putin told reporters in Sochi that efforts to end the war were generally on the right track.
Президент Соединенных Штатов высказал свою позицию.
The U.S. president has expressed his position on the ceasefire, and I, for my part, also noted that Russia also favors a peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. We should simply determine the most effective ways to move toward peace. We agreed with the U.S. president that Russia will suggest and is ready to work with the Ukrainian side on a memorandum on a possible future peace treaty, which defines a number of issues such as the principles of settlement, the terms of a possible peace agreement, and so on, including a possible ceasefire for a certain period of time if the appropriate agreements are reached.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to Trump one-on-one before the Putin call and then again afterwards in a conversation with other European leaders. He told reporters that he hoped a high-level meeting with Russia, the U.S., and other nations could happen as soon as possible.
We
are considering a meeting of all teams again. We would like it to be at a high level. America, Ukraine, Russia, European countries, and Great Britain. Such a meeting could take place in Turkey, the Vatican, or Switzerland.
Ukraine has said it is ready for a ceasefire now, while Russia has said conditions must be met first. Direct talks last week between Moscow and Kyiv had failed to achieve a truce.
Look, I'd say we're more than open to walking away.
Shortly before the Trump-Putin call, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters that Washington recognized there was a bit of an impasse.
Look, I think one open question is Vladimir Putin serious about negotiating peace, right? He has made some concessions. He has taken some serious steps in these conversations, but we feel like, we're at a point where we're hitting an impasse, and that's why the president is talking to him on the phone. I think, honestly, that President Putin, he doesn't quite know how to get out of the war.
Trump, who has promised to bring a swift end to Europe's deadliest war since World War II, has repeatedly called for a ceasefire. Putin, whose forces control a fifth of Ukraine and are advancing, has stood firm on his conditions for ending the war, despite public and private pressure from Trump and repeated warnings from European powers.
Israel has agreed to allow limited amounts of food into Gaza, easing a 2-month-old blockade that has brought the enclave to the brink of famine. But airstrikes killed at least 20 Palestinians overnight after Israel announced extensive ground operations. Casualties arrived at a hospital in Khan Yunis on Monday. Palestinian health officials say more than 500 people have been killed in attacks in the past 8 days, as Israel has stepped up its military campaign, bringing the toll of Palestinians killed in its ground and air war to more than 53,000. Israel has faced mounting international pressure over the blockade on humanitarian deliveries it imposed in March, shortly before it broke a 2-month-old ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel aimed to take control of all of Gaza and prevent Hamas militants from looting aid shipments. Hamas has denied involvement in looting. This warehouse containing medical supplies for Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis was also hit. Hospital director Atif Al-Hout asked how long the world would remain silent.
اليوم
Today, the stock of medical solutions for patients and the stock of solutions for kidney dialysis patients are being targeted. This quite simply means that kidney dialysis patients are being sentenced to death.
Separately, residents and medics said an Israeli undercover unit who disguised themselves as displaced people killed a militant leader in a raid in the south. Residents said the commander, Ahmad Sarhan, clashed with the force before he was killed, and that the Israelis detained his wife and children before retreating in a bus under cover of fire from the air. Israel's military has announced a campaign dubbed Operation Gideon's Chariots, seeking to eliminate Hamas's military and governing capabilities and bring back the remaining hostages it holds. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri said the escalating offensive would put the lives of the hostages at risk. And both sides reported no progress in a new round of indirect talks between Israel and Hamas in Qatar.
Taiwan is happy to have exchanges and cooperation with China as long as there is reciprocal dignity. Using exchanges to replace hemming in, dialogue to replace confrontation. Taiwan loves peace. Taiwan society believes in the goodness of people. I too am committed to peace, because peace is priceless and war has no winners. But when it comes to seeking peace, we cannot have dreams nor illusions. We will continue to strengthen our national defense capabilities, whether it is through foreign military procurement or building resilience in our national defense. Secondly, we will continue to strengthen our economic development, grow in Taiwan and sell our products to the world. We won't put all our eggs in one basket.
When Abdulaziz Ali went back to check on the primary school he worked in before Sudan's war, he got a shock. He found an unexploded shell under a pile of old cloth. Ammunition and missiles litter streets, homes, schools and shops across Sudan's capital, Khartoum. That's as families have started to return to buildings that were commandeered by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in areas that have since been retaken by Sudan's armed forces.
How could I not be afraid? Every day I find 2 containers filled with ammunition and RPG rockets and other explosives, all in here. And this is a school, a children's school.
Volunteer groups like this one in a neighbourhood in Khartoum's twin city Omdurman are stepping in. Sudanese and UN clearance teams are trying to make things safe, but they say they need more staff and funds, especially since the US aid cuts brought in by the Trump administration. In many areas, residents are fending for themselves. 16-year-old Muazzar Monzir lost his left arm and suffered other severe wounds when a shell exploded while his family was clearing rubble in their home on Tuti Island in Khartoum. He was sitting on a chair and it exploded without warning, his uncle says. Sudan's National Mine Action Centre said more than 12,000 devices have been destroyed over the course of the war, and another 5,000 found since operations expanded into newly retaken territory. At least 16 civilians have been reported killed and dozens more wounded in munitions explosions in recent weeks, but the real toll is feared to be higher.
Soaring gracefully behind a speeding motorcycle, a white dove named Bondok has become an unexpected sight in the heart of Cairo. The bird shares a remarkable relationship with its 23-year-old trainer, Abdul Rahman Ismail, who zips through traffic with Bondok faithfully flying by his side.
Bondok is trained, of course. I've been training for exactly 3 years on free flying. That means the bird is trained to free fly. It is free. I don't tie the bird or use any restraints. Bondok is 1.5 years old. It flies behind me while I'm on my motorcycle. It is trained to do many things. It responds to my calls. I can leave it with someone else and it'll still come to me when I call it. It's trained to fly from the ground up to the 6th floor when I call it.
Ismail says Bondok's sociable nature is uncommon for its breed, but they have formed a close bond.
I've lost birds before. It is a bit risky because the bird is free and can fly away at any time. But it all depends on how well you've trained the bird, how much you love the bird, and how much the bird loves you back. That's what makes the bird stay and not fly away. I just want to clarify, any kind of dove in the world is attached to a home, a dovecote, a specific place. So if you can take it away and leave, it'll still come back to that same place.
As the sun sets over his friend's rooftop dovecote in Cairo, Ismail returns to his place in the world among a flutter of wings.